Hi, I'm Billy Hollowell, and welcome to Pure Talk, a show brought to you by PureFlix.com. I am joined today by Tammy Schroeder, president of LK TV Productions. How you doing today?
Good, thank you, Billy.
So you are from a company called Lucky Cat. And what you guys are doing, it's really innovative and interesting. You are marrying together education and entertainment, and the term is edutainment.
Edutainment.
Edutainment, okay. So you're marrying these things together, creating an environment, a gaming environment for elementary school kids.
Yes.
To help teach them character values.
Correct.
Okay, so take me through a little more of how this environment works.
So we wanted to mirror what other websites and other gaming sites do for kids. So they want to be there. You know, the second you tell kids it's educational, they kind of go, okay, I'll do it for this long, and then they go off. So we wanted to make sure that it was really engaging and had the elements that they would like to play. Games that unlock and things where they can go places and virtual worlds. But through the whole process, weaving an avenue to build their character as they go through. Because we're teaching the kids that character is part of literally every single thing you do. It's your signature. So we wanted to use games in order to do that.
And most games today, and this goes for movies too, you look at what PureFlix is doing, you look at what Lucky Cat is doing, this notion of providing an alternative. When you talk about character, that's something that's sort of lacking in a lot of the content that's out there today, specifically gaming.
It is.
And so you guys are targeting, again, elementary school aged kids. So what grades would that sort of range in?
Well, we start in kindergarten and go to 5th grade, and we usually say it really depends. Games are a little different than some other activities because a 5-year-old can play games and do very well, and sometimes a 9-year-old can struggle. So it's a little different than saying an educational game because it's reading, writing, and arithmetic. The only reason that 6th, 7th, and 8th graders don't play on the website as much is our animated characters. The games themselves and the younger siblings, they love to. And because we have old style games, a lot of parents and grandparents love to get on the site.
So when we talk about character, because it's a general term, but we know what it means, and we know that it's missing, again, from our media and from our gaming. What are some of the things, again, that the kids are learning as they engage in this Lucky Cat world?
Well, I will tell you that when we tell parents it's about character, we get a glazed look a lot of times. Not everybody really understands what character is, and you realize why it doesn't always translate to the kids. So we have 60 different character traits, and we say they're personal and performance-based, which was something I learned as we went through this process, that you can kind of separate them out. Performance, we think more of what they learn at school, and maybe personal or moral values that they learn at home. So we cover everything from respect and responsibility to faith and forgiveness to diligence, perseverance. It goes the whole gamut.
And what would you say is the goal for the kids playing this game? What would you say you're hoping for them?
That character becomes a natural. We take them through the process and they click on a red GC button called, it's our good character. We want a good character cool. And that was actually designed by 5th graders. We did that intentionally, a little older because the kids want to do what the older kids are doing. And so they click that at the beginning of each game and they hear a character trait that's actually going to help them in their gameplay. So we're relating it to the game, and that's one of the things that are missing in building character is how do you teach kids on a repetitious basis how to respect and how to have responsibility.
Especially when they're not seeing it anywhere. They're not seeing it in media, they're not seeing it in Hollywood, they're not seeing it in other games.
No, they actually get to see it in the game action. So they play the game, and then we do a GC challenge afterwards to see, did you understand what that meant? And if it does, their green apples turn red and they get to open up a whole nother pirate virtual world. So we're trying to teach them as they go through, and that repetition of playing the games, they're always doing it. We always give them a reward so they want to continue going back. So while a younger person might have a little more trouble with perseverance, it's a big word, even though we have our characters saying it, as they go through, they do learn it and they retain the information.
Because they're seeing it in practice as well. And one of the things, I think there's a lot surrounding this, right? We talk about cultural alternatives for parents, and there's so much that parents are afraid to expose their kids to, and it's good that there's things like Lucky Cat to sort of offer that, counterbalance. But when we talk about bullying, for instance, and I don't know what you've seen on this topic, but I think in a lot of people's minds, bullying is something that happens in middle school, in high school. What has been your experience, though, with that issue? Because that's obviously a value issue, and with the population that you have playing the game now.
So it was originally thought to be a middle and high school problem because we didn't have all the media that was hitting the kids from all these different directions, which is why I say PureFlix and Lucky Cat are so important that they get that influence. Because the biggest problem in elementary school, you think about it, what is the humor? When you're watching something on television in a lot of places on a screen, it's making fun of someone. You're poking fun, it's at someone else's expense. And then you tell a 7-year-old, well, that's bullying. but everybody's laughing, including their parents. So we found that was one of the hardest, most difficult challenges, was to find a way that they could recognize this was just as much fun as what they're laughing at, but we don't have to have them try at 7 years old to maintain. What's the difference?
Right, no, that's a really interesting point too, that the humor is really poking fun at people, making fun of people, and it's something for parents to be aware of, I think. And even when it feels harmless, it's sort of the opposite message of what these sponges, we're throwing this at these kids and they're soaking it up, and it almost prepares them for what's to come then in middle and high school. But what you guys are doing is trying to counterbalance that by offering the values and the way that behavior should work, but packaging it in a fun game, which, by the way, anybody who signs up for Pure Flix, we have a partnership going on. Yes. You sign up for a trial, you get a trial of Lucky Cat. So people can actually try this out with their kids if they want.
1 month for free, absolutely.
So, and when it comes to violence and controversy, obviously that's not something you have to worry about with this as a parent.
No, that was actually the premise when we first started, was I had so many friends with their children that were saying, we say this is like a box of chocolates we steal from Forrest Gump.
Go for it, you might as well.
Chocolate on the outside, and they're still sweet on the inside with us. You don't have to worry about what the kids are going to get to on the inside. Because I would have so many people say, there's this great game, and I thought it was awesome. I let them go, and a couple weeks later, I go back and go, what are you on? What is that? Because they were surprised at what was on the other side of that wall. We don't ever want there to be a surprise on that side of that wall. We want you to relax and know that
this is safe.
It's a good, positive place for them to be.
You can leave your kid with it for a minute. You can walk away. You're not going to come back and be shocked by what you're finding. And there's so much media that way. There's so much, even kid stuff. You're like, oh, this will be fine. And then you're like, oh my gosh, that's way too advanced for you. Got to turn that off. So you guys have thought that all through. You're offering this alternative. And one thing that's, I think, important with this discussion is you're using technology. You're leveraging technology to reach people. Right now, there are a lot of conversations about social media, about video games, about movies, about all of this being bad, and the content is so negative. What would you say to critics who almost have the opposite reaction of wanting to maybe pull away from those things because you found a way to use it in a positive way?
Yeah, technology is a fantastic thing, and we're the first people to say your kids should be outside playing. We want your kids outdoors, but then they have to come in when it rains and it snows and it's cold and it's dark, and you want something in a safe place for them to be. They're going to be surrounded by technology. At some point, they're going to have a device in their hand, whether it's at school or if it's home, you're going to do it. So let's give them some content that we want them to be on, where they can be trained in a way to use it, where they're not being hit from all over. We have no chat. That was really controversial for a lot of parents. Would say, oh, my kids won't be on there without chat. Forget it. They've got their whole lives to be chatting with people. They're 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Let's put them in an environment where they can learn and be safe and have fun like everybody else is, but not worry.
Exactly. And research has shown, and I'm sure you've looked at some of this research, that there can be a big impact on kids as a result of video games and movies. So what have you seen in that space? What has your experience been on the positive side of seeing how kids have reacted to your product?
Well, I love research. So we do a lot of research on our team, but I always say that in character education, you're actually talking about common sense, right? How many times as parents do you say, shh, the kids are listening, not now, or turn off that show because I don't want them to see it? You realize they're sponges. They're repeating, they're emulating everything they do. That's how you teach them. In elementary school, they talk about the repetition that you have to do over and over again. So it's vital that we put them in this environment. Absolutely. Where can people go for more information on Lucky Cat? To luckycatworld.com, and it's LUCKYKAT. That's important. WORLD. Yes, I've had teachers say, you're teaching them how to spell cat wrong. I said, it's a name, it's Lucky Cat. And we say Lucky Cat, he's lucky because he's always prepared when opportunity knocks. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Everybody else, please make sure you tune in next week for the next episode of Pure Talk. You can go to facebook.com/PureFlix.
Here's the deal. PureFlix.com has 6,500 titles you can watch right now. That's way too many to show you in just 90 seconds, but you know what? Here we go.
I'm the man, you were the dog. I am talking to a dog. How many times do you know the directions to your house, but you listening to the phone?